Welcome to Jacobs Field in Cleveland, Ohio, and welcome to Game 1 of this division series between the Boston Red Sox and the Cleveland Indians. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everyone. I'm Joe Buck, along with my partner Tim McCarver. As you just saw, Keith Olbermann's piece on Pedro Martinez giving us the opportunity to look at a little more closely a pitcher who has had one of the most dominating seasons as any pitcher has had in the history of Major League Baseball.
Joe, rarely has a Major League pitcher made Major League hitters look as bad as Pedro Martinez has this year to American League hitters. Dominant is not strong enough a word.
However, on the other side for the Cleveland Indians, young Bartolo Colon, 3 years the junior to Pedro Martinez, a fellow Dominican, grew up idolizing the career of Pedro Martinez, and Pedro, in a way, has been a mentor to the right-hander Colon.
Bartolo Colon had as good a second half as Pedro Martinez. 11-2, a 2.60 ERA, and a guy that Mike Hargrove told us earlier today that in his tenure as manager of the Cleveland Indians, he's as close to a #1 starter as he's had.
Folks, make no mistake about it. With Pedro Martinez on the mound tonight for the Boston Red Sox, this is as close to a must-win as you can get as we open up a division series. It's the Boston Red Sox. It's the Cleveland Indians. Now the faces. The face of Nomar Garciaparra, the American League batting champion, and the rest of the individuals who will shape this series. They've been waiting around, anxious to get this started. Here we go, the Indians and Red Sox next on Fox.
The 1999 Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Merrill Lynch. No matter what you want to achieve, we can help. Ask Merrill Lynch. By 10-10-321, now just 8 cents a minute for calls over 10 minutes. By Gillette Mach 3, the first triple blade razor. And by Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
The calm before the eruption. And I would say, Tim, that you and I have found out in the last few postseasons here that there is no home field advantage. There may be others that rival the home field advantage that the Indians enjoy here, but none that are any better or any more a factor in a ball game than that the Indians enjoy here at Jacobs Field.
A raucous, baseball-loving crowd here in Cleveland, no question.
And for that matter, and for that reason, the Indians selected a 10th man, the 10th man being the crowd, to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. And here come the Indians. Winners of the Central Division in the American League 5 consecutive years. And here we go. And we look at the Budweiser starting lineup for the Boston Red Sox. They lead it off with Jose Offerman at second base. Then it's John Valentin batting second and third base. Jason Varitek hitting third. They like him up there. He's catching. Nomar Garciaparra leading the American League with his average of .357 this season. Batting fifth, Troy O'Leary, a career high and a team high 28 home runs. Mike Stanley, the DH. Brian Daubach, the 27-year-old rookie, is at first base with Darren Lewis hitting eighth and center, and Trot Nixon, a rookie, in right field, batting ninth.
Defensively for the Indians, adequate in left and right field, but up the middle with Lofton, Vizquel, and Alomar, as good as it gets. Fryman nursing a bad knee at third base. Jim Thome in there at first base. And speaking of bad knees, Sandy Alomar Jr., his 6th operation on his left knee back in May. He only played 37 games this year. 18 Gold Gloves combined in the infield, and there is Sandy Alomar. And he will be catching Bartolo Colon. 18-5, as we said in the pregame. 11-2, a 2.60 earned run average in the second half. So he comes into the divisional series red hot. Scouting report on Colon. He maintains his velocity better than anyone in the league. He carries that velocity into the late innings. The two-seamer he throws in ground ball situations or double play situations. When he needs a strikeout or a pop-up, he throws the four-seamer. And an occasional change-up and a slur.
This announcement is necessary in a game of this sort. This broadcast also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. Why? Because you look at these two teams, and the Latin American countries have to be awfully proud of the way they are represented in this division series alone. You've got Colon on the mound. You've got Pedro Martinez on the mound for the Red Sox. You look at Roberto Alomar, Omar Vizquel, Sandy Alomar. Manny Ramirez out in right field. Latin American players have infiltrated the game of baseball, and the game of baseball is better because of it.
In postseason play history, this is only the second time that foreign-born players have faced one another on the pitching mound. Colon and Martinez. The only other time it happened during the 1987 World Series when Danny Cox faced Bert Blyleven twice. Blyleven from the Netherlands, Cox from England.
Here we go in Cleveland. Game 1 of this division series. Offerman leads it off. Takes a strike. 96-mile-per-hour fastball from the 24-year-old right-hander Bartolo Colon. Strike 2. Offerman hitting .294 during the regular season. First year with the Red Sox. Signing a highly controversial contract with Boston. 4 years, $26 million. Many thought the Red Sox overpaid for him. Easy chance for Fryman. One away to start the night. That'll bring in John Valentin, and I think it's important to go back to something you said in the opening, because I at least believe that nobody pays attention to our openings. They don't hear a word we say. But you talked about Mike Hargrove talking about Bartolo Colon as a #1 starter, the closest thing that we've had to a #1 starter since he's been here. And isn't that exactly what John Hart, the general manager, has been desperately searching for the last few years? He doesn't have the grizzled veteran as his #1 starter. He's got a 24-year-old, but he certainly has the ability and the stuff to be just that for Mike Hargrove.
The Indians thought that they would nurture the 2 #1 starters. Charles Nagy's been as close to that as they've had. The 2, Jarrett Wright, Bartolo Colon.
That's automatic for his count. 2 up, 2 down. And with 2 out, nobody on, Jason Varitek will dig in. If you don't know the name of Jason Varitek, you will as time marches on. He has become one of the game's best catchers. Involved in 144 games this season for the Red Sox. He was busy. Toward the end of the season, they put him in the #3 spot, and he responded.
Most important trade that the Red Sox made a year and a half ago to form this team. Jason Varitek and Derek Lowe coming from Seattle for Heathcliff Slocum.
Jimmy Williams, manager of the Boston Red Sox. I know in our minds, the manager of the year in the American League. The 0-1. 1-1 from Cologne.
Some would argue Art Howe of the Oakland Athletics, who also did a terrific job. But nobody had to deal with more adversity than Jimmy Williams with all the injuries. Falls behind, 2 balls and a strike on Varitek, who pounded 20 home runs during the regular season. Jimmy Williams, and this is 3rd year with Boston. Watching as that is called a high strike, 2-2. Home plate umpire Rocky Rowe, if he gives Bartolo Colon that pitch, it's going to be a tough night for Red Sox hitters. You don't see that high strike call that often. From the student to the master, Bartolo Colon, a perfect first, and now it's Pedro's turn. Well, away we go. Pedro Martinez to the hill. Bottom of the 1st inning here in Cleveland, and a look at the Budweiser starting lineup for the Cleveland Indians. Kenny Lofton leads off in center field. Omar Vizquel batting 2nd and short. Roberto Alomar, what a great first year in an Indians uniform. Then it's Manny Ramirez cleaning up. 165 runs batted in this season, most since 1938. Jimmy Fox drove in 175 for Boston. Jim Thome's at first with Harold Baines the DH. David Justice in left, Travis Fryman at 3rd, and Sandy Alomar is catching and batting 9th. Pedro Martinez with 300 over 300 strikeouts this year, has not really needed that much of a defense behind him. Troy O'Leary, Darren Lewis can track them down in center field. Trot Nixon in right field. Valentin, Garciaparra, Offerman, and Stanley at first base. Jason Varitek behind the plate. 140 games. That's second in the American League to Ivan Rodriguez of Texas. And Pedro Martinez, 313 strikeouts in 213 and a third innings. That's 13.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. And the scouting report, I mean, you can talk all night. Explosive movement on the fastball, obviously controls both sides of the plate. What a changeup with the same arm speed as the fastball. And then a tight curveball, so it gives him 3 major league pitches.
Well, he can't do much better than Bartolo Colon did here in the first inning. He went right through the Red Sox 1-2-3, capping it with a strikeout of Varitek. And Kenny Lofton stands in. Hamstring trouble, lower back trouble, and him on the disabled list. He leads it off for Cleveland. And bunts foul. So strike one on Lofton. I've never seen you as excited, Tim, or as enamored sitting down talking to a pitcher than you were after a session you had with Pedro Martinez and listening to him explain what he tries to accomplish on the mound and watching him with his fingers and what he does to a baseball.
Fascinating. You can make a half-hour feature out of Martinez talking about pitching. Change-up, fastball, breaking ball yesterday afternoon. Fascinating.
He's 0-2 on Lofton. You know what he's thinking about as he pushes him back off the plate with ball 1. We'll keep track of the pitch count here in the first inning for Pedro Martinez. Lofton is jammed, and Varitek back to give it a look. Nice try, but it's out of his reach. Still 1-2 on Lofton.
Catchers and outfielders will go into fences like this to try to prevent an injury. I am not sure whether that ball hit the fence first. It could have scraped it. Yeah, I think it did. So had Varitek made the catch, it would have been no catch. Jimmy Williams talking about Jason Varitek, says he is fearless. He proved it once again.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Lofton with Omar Vizquel and Roberto Alomar to follow. Into deep right center field. He got under it a bit, and in is the center fielder Lewis to put it away. Full swing by Kenny Lofton and just didn't get it all, and I guess we can expect more of that all night. You can get as good a swing as you want, but with that late movement on the part of Pedro Martinez, you're just not going to make solid contact.
First breaking ball that he threw to Lofton. Kenny under it a bit. So Martinez retiring Lofton to start the ball game for the Indians.
He'll have a lot of guys talking to themselves as they go back to the dugout bench. 1 out, nobody on, and Vizquel takes it high. Omar has had a tremendous offensive season, hitting .333. That's a career high. Drove in 66. That's a career high. And as Steve Lyons talked about in the pregame show, this Indians lineup cranked out 1,009 runs scored in 1999. 7th team to do that since 1901.
Last team to do it, the Boston Red Sox back in 1950.
The 1-1 to Vizquel, a late swing, strike 2. 95 miles per hour from Pedro Martinez. He had a quick shot of Joe Carrigan, the pitching coach for the Red Sox, talking about the importance of an economical first inning. Trying to keep Pedro Martinez and his pitch count down around 15. That's what they shoot for. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Vizquel.
And that's what Pedro averaged during the season. About 15.5 pitches per inning.
On 1-2, Vizquel. Took ball 2. Martinez hitting 97 on our radar gun with Roberto Alomar waiting on deck.
Joe, you saw Pedro Martinez blowing on his hands. That's one thing that favors the Indians tonight. It is very cold here in Cleveland, very windy, and Pedro Martinez does not like cold weather. He's on the mound. That's about the only thing he doesn't like.
The 2-2 to Vizquel. Broken bat, little ground ball to second for Offerman. Nice play. 2 gone. Offerman couldn't mishandle that, and he took care of Vizquel for the second out. Roberto Alomar stands in.
Joe, that was a changeup to Vizquel, and watch how he comes forward with the hands. The key element to hitting is staying back and waiting. Nobody can alter a hitter staying back and waiting any more than Pedro Martinez can do with that changeup.
2 up, 2 down now for the Indians, and the batter Roberto Alomar, who grounds up the middle, base hit. Alomar on with 2 outs here in the first.
Alomar apparently guessing fastball. He got it. And a 38 hopper by Garciaparra. Getting on top of that high rider. First base hit, first base runner of the ball game.
Why the ovation? Why not? Manny Ramirez stands in with his 165 RBIs. Alomar on at first. He takes off. Had a great jump. No chance for Veritek.
Alomar swinging at the first pitch and then running on the first pitch. He picked the right pitch, a curveball with a terrific jump. He had 37 steals on the season. Veritek with no chance to get Alomar.
His career in the postseason, 90%. And this year stole 37. Was good for 5th in the American League. Runner at second with 2 out. First inning, no score. Ramirez. 2-0. So an early scoring chance for the Indians against Pedro Martinez. On 2-0. 95, and he got it past Ramirez. What kind of a night is it here in Cleveland? 49 degrees, 9-mile-per-hour wind. Clear and cool. Humidity, who cares? 2 balls and a strike. Runner at second, 2 out. In on the hands and by Ramirez, 2-2.
That is exactly where American League pitchers, when they have the rare success with Ramirez, try to pitch him. They try to go up the ladder and crowd him with that fastball. So the 2-0 fastball, a high strike. The 2-1 fastball, a high strike.
Time called at the plate. Veritek is going to go out and make sure that they're on the same page with signs.
One thing Martinez will do with his catchers, if they call for a fastball, he does have the liberty to change on his own.
18th pitch of the first inning coming here for Pedro Martinez. Trying to keep the Indians off the board in the first inning. Ramirez took ball 3. On deck is Tomey. He drove in 108. Runner at second with 2 out. No score first inning. 3-2. Got him to end the inning. First strikeout for Pedro Martinez. The Indians put a runner at second, strand their first of the night. Garciaparra leads it off for the Red Sox. No score.
The 1999 Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Infiniti, makers of the all-new i30 Performance Luxury Sedan. It's all the best thinking.
Welcome back to Jacobs Field, a ballpark put together in 1994, and you just can't get a ticket around here. Doesn't matter who you know. You have to line up early. Nomar Garciaparra leads off and takes a wide strike from Bartolo Colon. Garciaparra led the league, hitting .357 during the regular season. 8 points higher than Derek Jeter, his friend and shortstop with the New York Yankees. 1 ball, 1 strike. Little concern about Garciaparra. 2 Saturdays ago getting drilled on the right wrist. And we take you back to that game. Al Reyes of the Orioles drilling Garciaparra. You can hear the ball hit the bone. That small bone on the outside of the right wrist. He's had cortisone injections there. Took it easy the final week of the season, and he shoots one into deep center field. Lofton back. Forget the rest. A home run. Garciaparra. And the Red Sox take a 1-0 second inning lead. Garciaparra, who hit 5 home runs during the Indians during the regular season against the Indians, goes deep in his first at-bat of this division series.
What strength it takes to hit a ball out with just your arms. Garciaparra, almost from a flat-footed position, used his arms to hit a ball off the plate away out to right center field.
Reaching for one, O'Leary grounds to first, and he's the first out here in the second inning.
Flat-footed. Ball off the plate away. Man. Bartolo Colon started against the Red Sox once in last year's division series. He worked 5 2/3 innings and gave up 1 run. The 1 run, a home run by Nomar Garciaparra, who had 11 RBIs against the Indians last year in the divisional series in 4 games.
So 1 out now, nobody on, and Mike Stanley stands in a .281 average during the regular season, 19 home runs. Finished strong for the Red Sox and takes ball 2, 2-0.
Here's Garciaparra's swing from catcher cam. We'll have that after this pitch.
2 balls, no strikes, 1 out, nobody on, and Stanley fouls it back.
Look at Alomar sitting away, the pitch away, but not for long.
So about a 400-foot shot into more center than right here at Jacobs Field, and a 1-0 Red Sox lead here in the second inning. Check swing foul into the seats. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and Stanley.
Generally speaking, when hitters hit long balls to center field or the other way, to right field for a right-hander, left field for a left-hander, they hit it with their arms and they don't have the strength of their body. And that's why even players marvel at the strength, the wiry strength of a guy like Garciaparra.
2-2, and Stanley rips a base hit into left field. Looked like a breaking ball, and Stanley waited for it. And he's on with 1 out here in the second inning.
Waist-high hanger right here. You're right, Joe. Breaking ball right over the center of the plate. Hangers not only denoted by pitches that are up in the strike zone, but I think the best definition of a hanging breaking ball is a breaking ball where the action has stopped in the strike zone. It doesn't go through the strike zone, it goes to the strike zone.
Just spins there and says, drill me hard, hit me on one side, hard on the other. Here's Daubach. He takes a strike. Mentioned during the lineup portion of our telecast, a 27-year-old rookie from Belleville, Illinois, just across the river from St. Louis. The 11th Boston Red Sox rookie to hit 20 or more home runs. From catcher cam with an 0-1 count. Got it past Daubach, strike 2. And when you talk about rookie home runs for the Red Sox among left-handers. Number 2, the Teddy ball game. 1 on, 1 out, the 0-2. Dahlbach is gone in a hurry. 3 pitches, now 2 strikeouts for Cologne.
Cologne, after hanging that breaking ball from Mike Stanley, coming back with fastballs, a blistering fastball on the corner to get Dahlbach.
So Dahlbach is gone. Runner at first with 2 out for the number 8 hitter, Darren Lewis. A wrist injury slowed him down the stretch for the Red Sox. He shows bunt, takes a ball.
Cleveland outfield is playing Darren Lewis straight away, and Darren Lewis on fastballs will be hitting the ball to the right side. He's a guy that pushes the bat through the strike zone. Does not have your classic swing. I think the Indians should be playing him more toward right field instead of straight away.
He goes the opposite way but can't get it to the outfield as Alomar's on the other end. And the Red Sox are finished in the second, but not before a leadoff home run from Nomar. That shot puts Boston out in front. Game 1 of this division series, 1-0 Red Sox. Welcome back to Cleveland. We take you back to a wonderful night. July 13th, Fenway Park, the All-Star game. Prior to the game, Ted Williams, his reception on the field. Here's what he said in that huddle to Nomar Garciaparra.
There's my man right here. You're going to be everybody's man, boys. I'm sorry I missed your party, but...
He's sorry that he missed his party, and he said, you're going to be everybody's man. Now, it's obvious that the Red Sox have made the decision to build this team, at least offensively, around Nomar Garciaparra. As Tommy hits one hard, but a backhanded stab by Offerman, one away. But what a thrill it must be for Nomar Garciaparra, who really respects the history of this game, to hear that from Ted Williams.
Ted Williams saying you're going to be the man someday. He may be the man already.
Batting champions among shortstops, Garciaparra. Alex Rodriguez did it back in '96. Then see names like Grote, Boudreau. There's a strike in at the knees to Harold Baines with 1 out, nobody on here in the second inning.
Derek Jeter of the Yankees finishing second in the American League in hitting.
Hard hit off the glove of Garciaparra into center for a base hit. Baines is on with 1 out here in the second.
Harold Baines showing great plate coverage. It looked like a changeup low and away, just off the webbing of Garciaparra.
So 1 on, 1 out here in the second inning. You were talking about Derek Jeter and him finishing second in the batting race.
First time ever in either league that 2 shortstops have finished 1 and 2 for the batting crown.
Talked about the Red Sox making a conscious decision to build this team offensively around Garciaparra, and obviously pitching staff wise around the man on the mound, Pedro Martinez. They let Roger Clemens walk away. They let Mo Vaughn walk away. He ended up with the Angels. And there has to be some sort of vindication, some sort of feeling of vindication for Dan Duquette to see this team in the playoffs in consecutive seasons. Changeup misses up to Justice, and the count goes to 2-0. Dan Duquette was under fire, obviously, as he let Roger Clemens walk away, and then Mo Vaughn. He's one of the most loved athletes in the New England area. He made his decisions, and here are the Red Sox back in the postseason. 1 on, 1 out, 2 balls, no strikes, and that's hit into right field. Pretty well hit. Down into the right field corner is Nixon. It's a foul ball and out of play. 2-1.
Red Sox fans holding their breaths collectively, realizing, however, that Pedro Martinez did not give up a home run this year with a runner on base. 9 home runs given up, and all 9 were solo shots. You come up with the Braves and you end up with the Indians. You see the
number of chances David Justice has had in the postseason. And he has made a lot of those chances. 2 balls and a strike, 1 on, 1 out. That's on the outside corner, 2-2. We can tell already we are working with a wide plate here tonight. Colon has had some wide strikes called his way, and that was on the corner or just off the corner for Pedro Martinez. 2-2 to Justice as they play behind Baines over at first. David backs out of there. The 2-2. The opposite way, but foul. And these Indians have had some pretty good swings here early against Martinez.
Early swings early in the count. Alomar swinging at the first pitch. Lofton trying to bunt the first pitch. Vizquel swinging at the first pitch, as did Thome. Justice and Manny Ramirez waited for the count to be 2-0 before they got the fastball.
Again, the 2-2. Full count.
Even though Harold Baines is not a fast runner, I would imagine he'll be running right here. Keep in mind that Martinez struck out 313. So with a guy like Martinez and a guy as slow as Harold Baines, pretty good chance of a strike him out, throw him out. A better chance with Martinez than anybody else.
Now they hold against the runner. Baines over at first. He doesn't run, and Justice bounces to the left side. Great range by Valentin. They get the out at second, and Offerman could not get it out of his glove. With a relay throw over to first.
That's where a guy like Martinez changes a manager's game plan. Normally, you'd send Harold Baines in a situation like this. But because Martinez can throw any pitch on any count with great control, he doesn't send Baines. And Valentin has a chance to go to second base the short way.
And to go one further than that, because they didn't start the runner, had Offerman been able to get it out of his glove, might have been an inning-ending double play.
Yeah.
But now it's Justice at first with 2 out, and Travis Fryman stands in. You and I were here in Cleveland a couple of weeks from the end of the season, and Mike Hargrove was very skeptical that Fryman would be ready for the postseason. Nice save by Stanley over at first.
Justice was with only 1 stolen base on the season, unlikely to run. Play behind Harold Baines, you might as well play behind David Justice.
Fryman waits, takes a strike. Travis Fryman, who struggled in last year's postseason for the Indians, only 6 out of 36 with no runs batted in 10 games. Torn ligaments in his right knee. Spent 80 days of this season on the disabled list. In the hole here, 0-2. Pedro Martinez gave up a 2-out hit in the first inning, then a stolen base. Struck out Ramirez to end the inning, gave up a 1-out hit to Baines here in the second, a force-out off the bat of Justice, and now with 2 out and a runner at first, the 0-2 to Fryman. Went up to get it and pops it into right center field. Lewis cuts in front of Nixon to end the inning. Pedro Martinez takes care of the Indians in the second. 1-0 Boston. Back to the Division Series playoffs after this from your local Fox station. We welcome you back to Cleveland and Jacobs Field, one of America's most enduring corporate images. The Goodyear blimp is floating overhead, providing our aerial views for tonight's game. The Spirit of Akron, one of 7 airships in the Goodyear blimp fleet. It's Trot Nixon. He takes a strike over the outside corner. The Martinez brothers, Pedro and his big brother Ramon, who will start game 3 of this division series back in Boston. 1 ball, 1 strike on Trot Nixon, who started this season, the rookie, 2 out of 33. Jimmy Williams stuck with him. He ended up with 15 home runs. A little too much heat. 98 miles per hour from Colon, strike 2.
Woo. Gas right here.
Little Dominican heat from Bartolo Colon. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Goodbye, Trot Nixon, 1 away. We talked earlier about Colon and Martinez both being from the Dominican Republic. Not only does Colon idolize Pedro Martinez, the admiration flows both ways.
I would say he's a lot better than I was at 23 years old. It took me a little while longer to learn what he knows. Plus his stuff is I consider probably one of the best, if not the best, in the league. He tells me, he looks up to me, but I tell him, hey, in a few years, I want to be like you.
He wants to be like Bartolo Colon. Well, Pedro Martinez watching from the Red Sox dugout. That's a strike over the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike on Offerman. One out, nobody on, and Offerman takes strike 2 in at the knees.
That's the type of breaking ball that Colon will throw, that tightly wrapped breaking ball, as Pedro looks on intently. You talked about the brothers Martinez. They are playing against the brothers Alomar tonight. A rarity, brothers against brothers.
Offerman out of the way, 2-2. You know, we talk about Pedro Martinez, one of the most generous big league athletes that you will run across. You learned that from his brother Ramon Martinez, who sits to his left, the right of your screen. Pedro Martinez lives with his sister in the Boston area, has family and friends constantly around him, takes care of some of the younger players that the Red Sox might call up, and really does legitimately enjoy living in the Northeast. Enjoys the city of Boston. Boy, do they enjoy him. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on. Offerman stays alive.
Pedro Martinez enjoying his finest year as a major league pitcher. Roberto Alomar enjoying his finest year as a major league second baseman. Certainly the influence of the older brothers, very, very important. Ramon to Pedro and Sandy to Roberto.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on. And Offerman hits one down the left field line. Trouble if it's fair. It's a foul ball. Foul into the corner, and Justice flips it up into the seats. How about the gloves on Ramon Martinez?
This one slicing foul, and just foul by about 3 or 4 inches.
3 Mile Island specials right there. Can handle anything with those. We talked about the Martinez brothers not enjoying the cold. How many times have you seen Pedro in the dugout in Boston all bundled up at the beginning or the end of a given season?
Could handle pizzas, muffins, anything out of the oven or a microwave.
Or you can go with that look. 1 out, nobody on, 3 balls, 2 strikes, and Offerman now in a battle with Colon. You know, the Boston Red Sox took a chance signing Ramon Martinez off shoulder surgery, thinking that eventually this season he would add something for Jimmy Williams' ball club. Now here he is, good enough in his last few starts to represent the Red Sox. Game 3 of the series back at Fenway. 1 out, nobody on. The 3-2 is outside, and what a battle put on by Offerman. He draws the first walk handed out by Colon.
Cold tonight. You may be wondering where is the Dominican Republic? Well, the Dominican Republic is right there, and it's not cold, but it's west of these things right here. And we've been seeing a lot of
too many
over the past. Yeah, too many. You're right. There it is. Dominican Republic right there. Once again, the first time since 1987 that two foreign-born players have faced each other in postseason play.
1 on, 1 out now, and the number 2 hitter Valentin takes the ball high. Just to finish on Ramon Martinez, even if Ramon Martinez didn't pitch for the Red Sox this season, they're getting a bonus there because he's worked his way back into shape, and that's one of the reasons why Dan Duquette took the chance, because he was in such good shape before the surgery. But he has been such a nice influence on his younger brother, lockering next to him. It was a $2 million investment, worth it, if for no other reason than to get the very most that the Red Sox could out of Pedro Martinez. And he has put together one of the most dominating seasons of any player, forget pitcher, any player in the history of Major League Baseball.
Talking to Jimmy Williams before the game and asking Jimmy about whether he will hit and run a lot tonight. And while he didn't tell us specifically, he said that a guy like Colon is very, very difficult to hit and run against because he doesn't throw that many ground balls. That's the one key thing that a manager looks for, whether a pitcher throws a ground ball to hit and run with, preferably the sinker. A guy who throws riding fastballs, you're going to hit a lot of fly balls, and you really waste a hitter when you put a hit and run on against a guy like Colon.
And then your partner here asked him if Pedro Martinez might come back on short rest and pitch in a game 4 if necessary, like the controversy that hit the Red Sox and Jimmy Williams last year. He elected not to do it. Valentin to the shortstop, Vizquel. Flip to Alomar, on to first. A terrible throw and into the dugout. And that will send Valentin down to second with 2 out here in the inning. So a force out, 6-4, and then E4 on the throw. Alomar, who committed only 6 errors all season, a 7-time Gold Glove Award winner. This is about as good as it gets up the middle, just had one take off.
Stepping back and then throwing in the same motion. Alomar getting under the throw, but look at Offerman going in hard, and Alomar trying to avoid the sliding Offerman and throws one away.
So an RBI situation for Varitek, who struck out his first time up. Red Sox leading 1-0 on the strength of a Garciaparra home run in the second. The opposite way in the air to left. Easy for Justice. Half inning over. Justice makes the catch. And the Red Sox strand their second of the night. A walk and error, 1 left here in the 3rd inning. Bottom of the 3rd. Take all that stuff off now and go pitch, Pedro. Until you get an up-close and personal look at the hands of Pedro Martinez, you don't fully understand why he is able to do what he is able to do with a baseball.
When I deliver the ball, if I'm not on top of it, it's gonna take off, just like my fingers do. See? That's how the ball just takes off. And if I want to do it, I could do it anytime.
You were a changed man when you came back.
I'm telling you, check this out right here. It's like a ski slope. Very large hands for a man who says he's 5'11", and I don't believe it. I think he's closer to 5'9", but his hands are very big, particularly his middle finger, and the snap and the looseness of the arm when he throws combines for some nasty, nasty stuff.
There's a nasty breaking ball for strike 1. Here's a guy who sits next to me who caught Bob Gibson, who caught Steve Carlton, and I bring up the time you spent with Pedro Martinez and how in awe you were of the way he holds a baseball. We'll get into more of it as we go along here this evening, but the ability he has to change grips on a pitch mid-windup is sensational.
And he's just thrown a 1-0 and a 2-1 fastball or breaking ball to Sandy Alomar. He'll throw any pitch on any count, but the intelligence that he has behind the pitches and the way he holds the pitches.
Foul outside third as Sandy Alomar stays in there with a 2-2 count. Mark McGwire told me when he had a chance to face Pedro Martinez when Pedro was wrapping up his time with the Expos and McGwire came over to the Cardinals in '97. The end of the year, he said, I've never faced a guy. When I was up on the count 3-0, I felt like I was in an 0-2 hole. And a 95-mile-per-hour fastball is blown past Sandy for the first out here in the third inning.
It gets a count to 3-2. Remember the two breaking balls behind in the count. And now the fastball. Second strikeout of the ball game for Martinez.
And the typical discussion over on the bench is hitters go back and tell other guys in the lineup, or basically anybody who will listen, what Pedro Martinez just did to them. Because the pattern is such that you really can't sit and wait for a certain pitch. Doesn't matter what the count is. Any one of those top 3 pitches can come your way. 1 ball, 1 strike on Kenny Lofton.
Yeah, with Martinez, his pattern is that there is no pattern.
Driving Lofton off the plate with a 95-mile-per-hour pitch. 2 balls and a strike. On Lofton. 1-0 Red Sox here in the third inning. Vizquel waiting on deck. What does Lofton get on 3-1?
Every time to challenge a hitter, it's right now. You don't want speed walked on base.
It has just happened. First walk handed out by Pedro Martinez comes with 1 out here in the third inning to Kenny Lofton.
We talked to the pitching coach of the Red Sox, Joe Kerrigan, before the game, and Joe said as much as anybody that he's ever coached, Pedro Martinez, who does not have a good move to first base, but is very effective in preventing steals against him because he makes the runners wait. Roberto Alomar didn't make him wait. Alomar is stealing on the first pitch. We'll see about Lofton. Pretty good strategy to go early in the count against Martinez if you're going to run.
Waiting and now delivering and hitting for strike 1. The two worked on that when they were together in Montreal. This season, Pedro Martinez has picked no one off, has not committed a balk. Base stealers 21 of 31 against predominantly this combination of Pedro Martinez and Jason Varitek. Vizquel slaps one into center for Darren Lewis. 2 out. The two are in Montreal, Kerrigan and Martinez. They worked with Tim Raines. They brought Raines in. Tommy Harper, a longtime coach with the Expos when they were together in '94, '95, '96. And they worked together as to what bothers a base stealer most, and it's this.
Holding the ball. Hold, and then release. The reason for that is a base runner, like a pitcher and a hitter, they have a certain rhythm to stealing. And when you hold the ball, it confuses and upsets their rhythm. Mix that in with a couple of throws over there, and it's a very, very effective deterrent to stealing a base.
Roberto Alomar, who has one of the 2 hits for the Indians, waits at the plate. Strike 1. It's an amazing ability to be able to hold the ball as long as Martinez holds it and still keep your concentration as to what you're trying to do, and that is make quality pitches to the plate. Oh, and 1 the count. Little quicker that time, and Alomar a base hit into right. Lofton will head to third. Nixon kicks it in right. They will hold Lofton at third on a base hit by Roberto Alomar. And another RBI opportunity for Manny Ramirez.
The last time up, Manny Ramirez found himself in the hole, or ahead, I beg your pardon, 2-0, and then Martinez came back and struck him out on high fastballs. First pitch, a ball. Second pitch, a ball. Now watch the high fastball. Again with the high fastball. And after missing low and away, the high fastball.
So keep that in mind as Manny Ramirez stands in with first and third, 2 out. Who better for the Indians to have at the plate? Red Sox leading by 1 here in the 3rd inning. Now look over at Roberto Alomar, who stole a base back in the 1st inning. To the left side, Valentin goes the short way to end the inning. Manny Ramirez now has stranded a total of 3 runners on. He bounces out into the 4th out to end the 3rd, and after 3, 1-0 Red Sox. Bartolo Colon doing all he can as he's matched up with Pedro Martinez, and Bartolo Colon, while he has pitched well against the Boston Red Sox, especially in head-to-head matchups with Pedro Martinez, looks to defeat the guy he idolizes for the first time in his career. Here is Garciaparra, who homered his first time up.
And the scouting report, the thing to pay attention to, he generates power with a little stride. He picks his left foot up and puts his left foot down. Very little stride. Well, that's what he did. He hokey poked that first one to right center.
1 ball, 1 strike. Leading it off, then O'Leary and Stanley will follow. Out of play, strike 2.
That's what I call ball and the jack. Here it is, the ball and now the jack. Picks it up. You can see no stride. The heel went up, the heel came down. DiMaggio hit like that with no stride. Willie Mays picked the foot up, put it back down. Very little, if any, stride with the left leg.
Garciaparra into left field, sends Justice back to the wall to watch it bang midway up that big left field wall for a double for Nomar. Garciaparra is homered. He's doubled both times leading off, and the Red Sox have a chance to add to their lead.
And watch very closely as he does it again. Only the left heel comes off the ground. Right there. Now, of course, now check it out one more time. The left heel comes down. The toe stays planted. And he smokes it over Justice's head. The second extra base hit of the ball game for Garciaparra.
You compare that to the approach and the style of a guy like Manny Ramirez, it couldn't be any more different. Ramirez with a huge leg kick. A lot of motion at the plate. Garciaparra very quiet. As O'Leary takes a strike over the outside corner.
From catcher camp. Up on the toe, no stride. Bang.
And a leadoff double on the other end of that. As O'Leary takes another strike, and it's 0-2. And Colon, who struck out 3, would like number 4 right here. Again, this Indians defense up the middle, tremendous. There's Kelly short, Roberto Alomar at second, Lofton in center. The 0-2. Straightens up O'Leary, 1-2. Come into a game against the Red Sox, if you're Mike Hargrove or Bartolo Colon, you think predominantly about 2 guys for Boston. They're both doing their part here tonight. Pedro Martinez and Garciaparra. There's a big strikeout And a 99-mile-per-hour delivery from Cologne, one away, and that's exactly what the Indians needed.
And you might say, well, Troy O'Leary's up at the plate with a man on second and nobody out. Should he try to hit the ball to the right side? I mean, practically speaking, how are you going to do that against a 99-mile-an-hour fastball? Couple that with the fact that O'Leary drove in over 100 runs, and I think Troy was right to try to get the hit to drive him in instead of drive him over.
And now Mike Stanley, who singled his first time up. O'Leary takes his seat. Runner at second, Garciaparra one away. 1-0 Red Sox. Stanley takes a ball. Stanley trying to add to the Red Sox fourth inning lead. To the left side and through. A base hit. Garciaparra comes to the plate. The throw from Justice is wide. 2-0 Red Sox and down to second Stanley. Stanley's 2 for 2. Garciaparra is 2 for 2. And the Red Sox lead by 2 here in the fourth.
We mentioned in going over the defense of the Indians early in the ball game that they are weak in left field and right field. The corners in the outfield, and Travis Fryman slowed down considerably as far as his range is concerned. Damage to his right knee. And now the throw by David Justice not only misses the cutoff man, but late for Garciaparra, and Wendell Kim, the third base coach, taking a chance at the right time and sending Garciaparra, even though the ball was hit fairly well.
And obviously the scouting report for the Red Sox is to run on Justice.
Right.
2-0 Boston now as the DH Daubach, who struck out his first time, takes ball one. Capacity here 43,368. They are awfully quiet on a cool night here in Cleveland. Runner at second, only one out. Daubach comes up empty, strike one. There's the Atlanta score on your screen. 5-1. The Braves bounce back and split the first 2 games in Atlanta, with that series headed off to Houston. The 1-1. 2 balls and a strike, and I'm sure there are a lot of happy and tired, red-eyed Mets fans who are waiting for their game to start late. That game not ending until after 2 a.m. Eastern. Their game out in Arizona.
Same starting time tonight. So some red-eyed Mets fans tomorrow too.
Daubach 2-2. And another pitch that hits 99 on our radar gun from Cologne. Edgardo Alfonso is quick becoming a hero for the Mets as we look at tonight's game on ESPN. The Mets and the Diamondbacks at 11 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN. Red Sox and Indians at 4. And then tomorrow night, right here on Fox, the Rangers and the Yankees. Game 2 of that set. Game 1 went to the Yankees. Daubach, 100 miles per hour. Daubach is gone. And that's strikeout number 5 for Cologne.
To give you an idea of how hard Cologne is throwing, normally hitters do not swing through low fastballs. Those pitches are designed to put in play. So if he throws a low fastball that is swung through, it's got to have a lot of giddy up on it, and 100 miles an hour does. Just blows it right by Brian Daubach. 5 strikeouts now for Bartolo Colon.
Now it's up to Darren Lewis. And again, the Indians defensively pretty much straight away. In the outfield, strike 1 from Cologne. These runs doubly important for the Red Sox with Pedro Martinez on the mound, and seemingly twice as damaging to the Indians. It's a big run sitting out there at second base. 1 ball, 1 strike on Darren Lewis.
Infielders reminding themselves to, if they cannot make a play, to knock the ball down. And there that outfield defense is. Joe, you're right, but Manny Ramirez in right field is properly playing shallow because Lewis doesn't have a lot of power the other way.
2 balls and a strike from Cologne. The opposite way, and just like his first time up, a clunker out to second. Alomar takes care of Darren Lewis, and the Red Sox strand their 3rd of the night. Well, no surprises so far. Garciaparra is homered tonight. He's doubled in this inning and scored this inning on the base hit by Stanley. 2-0 Red Sox. Well, a beautiful night as it turns out here in Cleveland. The temperature is down. But while it started out a cloudy day, some threatening weather early, it's turned into a pleasant evening. There is a stiff breeze blowing in from right center field. And the Red Sox have the game's only runs, leading 2-0 into the bottom of the 4th inning. And Tommy, Baines, and Justice will dig in and face Pedro Martinez here in the 4th. The Indians have lost 8 straight series openers in the postseason. And they trail here 2-0 in the 4th inning. Tommy takes a ball. Meanwhile, the Red Sox, since the start of Game 6 in that 1986 frustrating World Series for Boston, they are 1-16 in the postseason. 2 balls, no strikes as Pedro blows into those long fingers, and we'll talk more about the grips he puts on a baseball in a moment. The 2-0 to Tommy. Watch out. Like a changeup that was in for a strike. 2-1.
Either a changeup or a breaking ball, a 2-0 breaking ball, and now he'll probably come back with the fastball to a good fastball hitter.
Tommy on 2-1 pops it up. Right side. It's trying to get out of play, and it will. 2-2.
That was a cut fastball, and not only can Pedro Martinez throw an outstanding cut fastball, but he can explain it also. After the 2-0 breaking ball, he comes back inside to Jim Tomey with that cut fastball. And again, that middle finger where he puts that pressure on the middle finger. It's just mesmerizing to hear him talk about how to pitch.
And there is absolutely no language barrier.
None. Nope.
The part of Pedro Martinez worked very hard to learn the English language while down in Dodgers school in the Dominican Republic. Starting there, signing as a free agent at the age of 16. The 2-2 pitch. Tommy, goodbye.
How does he throw a cut fastball? We'll let Pedro tell you.
I throw him over, and I let the arm action just dictate what the ball's going to do. So that's what I try to do. Just move this thumb off the ball and leave the bigger part of the ball out. It's a normal crossing fastball. It's just that when you get your fingers on top and you pretty much finish it, the bigger part, the heavier part of the ball is on this side. So what I pretty much do is just finish my hand and just touch the ball at the end, and the ball just flips from this side and cuts. It's a late cut.
A late cut, and that's what it was to Jim Tomey. A cut fastball. It's not the spin of a slider, but it reacts similarly to get Jim Tomey.
0-1 the count on Harold Baines, who singled his first time, and he is off balance out in front. And a pop-up to Offerman fights the wind. 2 out, nobody on. I got one for you.
Okay,
I think you've
go.
seen this.
What? Well, I have a bad thumb.
Hey, ho! Hand magic for you. Pedro can't do that. One more time.
That is odd.
Whoa.
No, you have. Do that thing with your
that?
Folded back. That is. Oh man!
Hey.
How do you do that? Ooh.
I love making you have that reaction.
That is an ooh.
It is an ooh. 2 out, nobody on, and David Justice stands in. Little hand magic in the 4th inning of Game 1 of the Division Series.
It'd be interesting to see you and Pedro reach for a check. Those hands are yours and his.
I would have no problem letting Pedro pick it up. Which he does, by the way, time and time again for one young player after another. He takes them out. He buys them suits. If their wardrobe needs help. In case you're wondering, by the way, Tia Maria, that's on his hat. Tia is aunt, A-U-N-T, Spanish, and that's for his Aunt Maria, who passed away. Shortly thereafter, Pedro Martinez set the Boston Red Sox single-season record for strikeouts. Out in front of a changeup there, and Justice is gone as Stanley feeds Pedro for the out. A 1-2-3 inning. That's the first of the night for Martinez. We go to the fifth inning of Game 1. Red Sox up 2-0. Bartolo Colon ready for work in the fifth inning. 2-0. Red Sox have only out-hit the Indians 4-3. But a couple of big ones by Garciaparra. A leadoff home run in the second, a leadoff double. He scored on the second hit of the night by Stanley. Between Garciaparra and Stanley, that's it for the Red Sox. And Trot Nixon, who struck out his first time, takes a ball.
Between two guys tonight, just like last year's first game of the division series, Mo Vaughn had 7 RBIs, Garciaparra 4. As the Red Sox scored 11 runs, 2 guys drove them all in.
Pedro Martinez won that game, his only postseason start. Makes his second of his career here tonight. He and the Red Sox lead by 2, and Trot Nixon has to skip the rope, get out of the way. 2-1. That's a 98-mile-per-hour rope coming at you. There's no chance he's talking to the bullpen, is it? Joe Kerrigan on the phone. Ordering more mittens for the dugout. 2 balls and a strike, now 2-2. High heat, 97. But there is action for the Red Sox out in their bullpen, and well, makes you wonder, as at least they start to stir down there. And if there is anything wrong with Pedro Martinez, certainly looked sharp here at the start, but we'll pass it along if we get any information. The 2-2, Nixon is gone. High heat, strikeout number 6 for Colon. 1 away here in the fifth inning. This week on the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show, find out if Randy Moss's big game last week was his breakout game of the season, or has the NFL finally figured out how to contain Minnesota's main man? It's all part of Fox NFL Sunday this week at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Guys will be back in the studio. They were out on location in Dallas last week. 1 out, nobody on, and Offerman strike 1. I would imagine that has a few Red Sox fans concerned.
I was thinking the same thing. That is very disturbing when you see Joe Kerrigan on the phone and Derek Lowe up when Pedro Martinez has gone on only 4 innings.
1 ball, 1 strike. So obviously there's something wrong.
Sure.
I have no idea what. We will try to find out. 1 out, nobody on, and Offerman took a strike over the outside corner, 1-2. And if that is the case, well, a 2-0 lead on the part of the Red Sox certainly doesn't look as imposing as it did about 5 minutes ago.
We do not see Pedro Martinez in the dugout. He is not there right now, and Derek Lowe warming. And as Joe just said, very disturbing to Red Sox fans.
On 1-2, Offerman takes ball 2. Let's go back and at least look at Martinez having to cover first base on the ground ball hit by Justice. You wonder if anything happened there. Didn't look like anything. As Offerman takes ball 3.
It is right here. It's a rather routine play. The ball behind him a bit, but you could not tell, especially after he skipped off the bag rather playfully. You couldn't tell that he was injured there. Pedro Martinez was on the disabled list 1 time this year. The minimum 15 days.
He's thrown only 58 pitches to this point. 1 out, nobody on. And Offerman draws another walk. Second he's been handed by Colon. And he's on with 1 out here in the 5th inning. Here's Valentin, who is 0 for 2. Did reach on a force out his last time up. And he bats in front of Veritek, who hits in front of Garciaparra.
Talked about the hit and run situation. The Red Sox are up by 2. Jimmy Williams telling us you couldn't put the hit and run on against Cologne because he doesn't throw that many ground balls, but Valentin has grounded out a couple of times, so that may change his mind right here, perhaps.
And Cologne becomes frozen, so Valentin hops out of there. So as Derek Lowe continues to warm for the Red Sox in their bullpen. We try to find out what, if anything, is wrong with Pedro Martinez as that misses up from Cologne. Joe Carrigan, who, as I mentioned, was with Pedro Martinez in Montreal, knows Pedro Martinez as well as anybody. Maybe not one person, Ramon Martinez, his older brother. But outside of that, those two have worked together and worked well together. Valentin's jammed and he fouls it out of play for strike 1. If there is an injury with Pedro Martinez, Derek Lowe will have as long as he needs to get warm. Lowe, who has been a reliever this season, I'm sure is close to being ready anyway out in the Red Sox bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike on the hitter, John Valentin. Quiet Jacobs Field.
And quieter in Boston right now.
1 on, 1 out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Valentin grounds to third. Fryman to second. Out. Over to first. Got them both. And now we'll find out. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Lowe continues to warm. Jimmy Williams makes his way to the home plate umpire. Pedro Martinez, it appears, is coming out.
1999 Division Series on Fox is brought to you by MasterCard. MasterCard, proud sponsor of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime. By the people of Allstate, you're in good hands with Allstate. By Ameritrade, believe in yourself. And by Claritin.
Welcome back to Cleveland. A big ovation for Derek Lowe as they cross the name of Pedro Martinez off their list, and they'll cross the name of Derek Lowe off their list for eligible pitchers in the bullpen because he's in the game. Maybe. Curse of the Bambino. Wonder if there is a limit on the curse of the Bambino as we approach the end of the millennium, but it would be a curse. It would be disaster for the Red Sox if there was something seriously wrong with Pedro Martinez. We've asked the Boston Red Sox. He is being examined, we are told. We're waiting for word on exactly what's wrong with Pedro Martinez. And as soon as anybody outside of the Red Sox organization knows what's wrong, you will know. We'll tell you. But right now, Jimmy Williams has gone to Derek Lowe, who appeared in 2 games last year in the division series with the Indians. Gave up 1 run in 4 innings pitched. And he will work to Fryman, Alomar, and Lofton here in the 5th inning. And all of a sudden being down 2-0 in the 5th doesn't look as daunting a task the Indians to try to overcome. 0-1 the count. Lowe, a sinker ball artist. This is up. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And boy, do these Indian fans know perhaps the biggest applause of the evening was given when Derek Lowe was seen coming in to the ball game. Fans realizing that Martinez is out of the game, and after pitching only 4 innings, they certainly understand that something could be wrong with Pedro.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Fryman. Travis fly to center his first time up. Chopper to second for Offerman. One away. So while behind closed doors they look at Pedro Martinez, Derek Lowe comes in from the bullpen and retires the leadoff man with Sandy Alomar walking in. Now Lowe is a big weapon for the Red Sox out of their bullpen. Obviously you're going to have a drop-off. A guy who many consider to be not only the Cy Young Award winner in the American League, but I think you and I both agree, and it is up for debate, and it is being hotly debated, could be the MVP in the American League. But Lowe is a guy who can close games. He's a short reliever, middle reliever, a starter if you need him. He's 1-1 on Alomar with 1 out here in the 5th. A season to remember, a guy you caught, Bob Gibson, the 1.12 ERA in 1968. You compare that to the National League average. They had to change the rules after that season for Gibson, lowering the pitcher's mound. And then what Martinez has done against the AL average, 4.86. ERA of 2.07. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Alomar. Almost 3 full runs better than the American League average was Pedro Martinez. That's back to Lowe. 2 up, 2 down for the Indians here in the 5th inning. And it'll bring in Kenny Lofton with 2 out, nobody on.
Derek Lowe, a totally different pitcher from Pedro Martinez, of course, and Kenny Lofton and the rest of the Indians will take that into consideration. Lofton, however, is not a pull hitter. He is a guy who hits straight away with almost as many hits to left field, actually more hits to left field than to right. He spreads them around. Not a real power hitter, but a guy who tries to fight his way on base, as he'll do right here.
Showing bunt, pulling back from strike 1 of the outfield for the Red Sox. Shading Lofton to go the other way. Right center field is wide open. Nixon way off the line and right. 1 ball, 1 strike on Lofton, who's 0 for 1 with a walk. Two outs with the bases empty, and Lofton in the hole, 1-2. We went in to talk to Jimmy Williams before the game, and we talked to him about the closer situation. Said his closer tonight in a typical closer spot would be Derek Lowe. Here he is pitching in the 5th inning as Lofton took strike 3. And a strong first inning for Derek Lowe, picking up right where Pedro Martinez left off. We are through 5 in game 1, and the Red Sox still lead by 2.
The 1999 Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Welcome back to Jacobs Field, where the mood here has changed considerably. Bartolo Colon goes back to the hill, and Varitek will lead off for the Red Sox, who lead by 2. They've lost Pedro Martinez for the rest of the night. We still await word as to what exactly is wrong with Pedro Martinez. We'll get a report shortly. Varitek, Garciaparra, O'Leary for Boston here in the 6th inning, up 2-0. And Colon misses with ball 1. Colon has not been able to handle Garciaparra tonight. Mike Stanley's 2 for 2. Outside of that, he has been almost perfect. He struck out 6 along the way. There's 1 ball, 1 strike on Varitek. On 1-1, Varitek fouls it back here. Varitek is struck out. He's flying to left. We will have a Pedro Martinez report after this at bat by Varitek. Trying to reach for the first time tonight. Goodbye, Jason Varitek. Strikeout number 7 for Bartolo Colon. We take you down to Tony Rizzo of WJW here in Cleveland.
All right, guys. Well, the report is they think Pedro may have hurt himself when he covered first base, although that's just speculation. Major League Baseball officials are outside the door. They won't let anyone in the clubhouse, and I saw the team doctor go in about 5 minutes ago.
All right, Tony, thank you very much. And obviously he'll stay on top of that situation right there watching. And now with 1 out, nobody on, Garciaparra stands in. So the reaction was for is Garciaparra, who's 2 for 2. And scored both runs here tonight, took ball 1. We understand a muscle strain in his mid-back is the official word that just came out. His status is day-to-day, so it's a muscle strain in his mid-back where he injured himself on covering first base. The putout, David Justice grounded out to end the 4th inning. So day-to-day status for Pedro Martinez, it's in his back, it's not his arm. He is lost, obviously, for the rest of this night, and who knows for how long. 3 balls and a strike on Garciaparra. Infield, outfield, straight away. Understandably, Colon was careful pitching to Garciaparra, and the crowd appreciates it.
Indians fans here are saying, we've seen enough of this guy. Put him on.
Well, why not? He only hit 5 home runs, drove in 17 runs against the Indians this season. You talk to Indians fans, they'll say, I don't know why we ever throw Garciaparra anything he can hit.
Yeah, it was a season where the Red Sox won 8 of 12. However, they won 8 of 11 against Cleveland last year, and Cleveland won 3 of 4 in the divisional series.
1 on, 1 out. O'Leary takes ball 1. O'Leary's grounded out, struck out. And Colon, who in effect pitched around Garciaparra. Deal with O'Leary now, and Stanley, another hitter he's had trouble with tonight, who waits on deck. 2-0 Boston, 6th inning. And that's pretty well hit into deep left center field at the track, at the wall. Justice, a leaping catch. Garciaparra has to go all the way back to first, and he's not going to make it. Double play. (7-4-3) on the double play. A base running mistake by Nomar. 2-0 Boston.
So different strategy by the Indians after Garciaparra's first 2 at-bats. Walk him and then double him up. David Justice makes the play. Garciaparra was almost halfway between second and third. He thought the ball was up against. Puts on the skids right there. And by the time he recovers, an easy play for Vizquel to throw to Tomey.
And now a bunt try by Vizquel is dropped down foul for strike 1. Who takes over for the Red Sox, who had a perfect 5th inning? Derek Lowe. And what has he done against the Indians this season?
Goodness.
They are 1 out of 33 against this right-hander, Derek Lowe.
No wonder Vizquel has tried to bunt twice. Tried once, thinking about it the second time. Valentin close enough at first to shake hands with him.
Forget the bunt now, and that's outside. 2-1.
One thing about Vizquel, he can bring the third baseman in thinking bunt and then shoot one past him.
Instead, he bounces one to short. Garciaparra, nice play, and look at that arm. He's a guy who had throwing trouble and arm trouble earlier this season, toward the end of last season, and he just let a rocket fly over to first. I'm sure a little embarrassed over the base running mistake he just made. Over the past 75 years, millions have watched the Goodyear Blimps hover over special events, and tonight it's the Spirit of Akron carrying out that proud Goodyear tradition. You can find out more about the Goodyear Blimp fleet on the internet at www.goodyear.com. Alomar fouls it away. I would imagine that was a green monster effect on the part of Garciaparra. The ball that O'Leary hit is either over the green monster if they're playing at home, or it's high off the green monster. And Garciaparra is motoring toward third and maybe scoring on it. Here, while it's a big green wall, it's a little deeper, and Justice had enough room to go back and make the catch. Or he just misjudged it.
A lot of times you look at the reaction of the outfielder, and that will tell you whether it's going to be a tough play or not. He saw something in David Justice that we didn't see. He thought it was going to be a tough play for David, and it was relatively routine, and double off of first base.
You know, I'm not so sure he wasn't reading Lofton more than he was reading Justice, because Lofton went to his right, stopped, and looked like he was going to play it off the wall as Lowe makes the easy play, and Alomar is gone, and that's 5 in a row retired by Derek Lowe. The ball sliced to Justice. He made the catch and started the double play. That'll bring in Manny Ramirez, and we start to stack up Ramirez and what he's done with a long ball in the postseason. You see what both Mantle and Ruth did, all in the World Series. Mantle leading the way along with Reggie Jackson with 18, then Ruth and Manny Ramirez with his 13.
Ramirez with a guy right now that he can handle. Derek Lowe, to be successful, has to keep the ball down. And Ramirez is a notorious low ball hitter. So he's facing a different pitcher than Pedro Martinez right here.
Ramirez 0 for 2 against Pedro. Up on the count here, 1-0 against Derek Lowe. Base is empty with 2 down. Chop foul, 1-1. Manny Ramirez would like to get this crowd of 45,182 heated up on a cold night in Cleveland. But it has been, this game has been dominated by Boston pitching. Since 1949, the 165 RBIs, the most in the major leagues, and they belong to Manny Ramirez, who had 96 RBIs at the All-Star break. The 1-1. Strike 2. This highly talked about offense for the Cleveland Indians, 1,009 runs. They end up with 5 players available to Mike Hargrove with the addition of Harold Baines, who drove in over 100 runs this season. One of them, Richie Sexson, is on the bench to start this game. Two balls, 2 strikes. Ramirez trying to reach for the first time tonight. Jim Thome waits on deck. 2-0 Boston here in the 6th inning. And now a full count.
Interesting to note that a low ball pitcher, and Derek Lowe certainly fits into that category, if he's facing a low ball hitter, there's nothing he's going to do except go with his strength. He's not, for instance, going to throw high sinkers. That's foolish. So keep the ball down.
Ramirez to the left side. Valentin waits for it, fires it across, low and safe as Stanley couldn't dig it out. And the Indians have a base runner with 2 out on an error by Valentin.
A routine play for John Valentin. He had 14 errors during the regular season. The throw is low. It looked like it hit the heel of the glove of Mike Stanley. A lot of first basemen would dig that out. You may remember Mike Stanley came up as a catcher for Texas and the New York Yankees. In between hop, a tougher hop than the short hop. And Ramirez is on the throwing error by Valentin.
You make any mistakes against this Cleveland lineup and watch out. Yep. Here is Jim Thome, who hit 33 home runs and drove home 108 during the regular season.
Yeah, if there's one team in the major leagues you cannot afford to get 4 outs in an inning, it's this Indian team.
Tying run at the plate, and Thome into right field. Track, wall, tied. Just tied Manny Ramirez with his 13th in the postseason. And right after that, Baines grounds out. Derek Lowe was rolling until an error and an errant pitch. A shot into right center. A 2-2 game after 6. Back to Jacobs Field after this from your local Fox station. Final third of this game, 7th inning. Jimmy Williams watching as Bartolo Colon heads back to the hill. Mike Stanley's 2 for 2 and takes a ball. In a moment, we will head down to Tony Rizzo, who has an update on Pedro Martinez. But right now, it's Stanley, who has singled twice and driven home a run. 2-2 game in the 7th. On the outside corner, a ball and a strike.
It's a 2-2 ball game, but the Indians crowd, you get the sense that they feel like they're ahead right now. New life after the error and the home run.
A bad combination for the Red Sox. A Valentin throwing error and a Jim Thome home run. 2 balls and a strike. Stanley leading off for Boston. Into right center field. Stanley's 3 for 3. Ramirez over to cut it off, and a good start to the 7th inning for Boston. Let's go down to Tony Rizzo for this update.
All right, thanks, guys. I just talked to a Red Sox official who told me Pedro Martinez pulled a muscle in his back, and he did it while pitching. It was actually happening during while he threw a pitch, not covering first base. They say he's day-to-day. For now, they expect him to make his next start, although that could change when he gets further treatment. But again, pulled muscle in the middle of his back, happened on a pitch. Back to you.
All right, Tony, thank you. 1 on, nobody out for the Red Sox. And Brian Daubach, the DH, who is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts, tries to make connections with something from Colon, who has been in control. Strike 1.
Tony's saying it could change as far as Pedro Martinez, and when you think about it, he threw only 58 pitches tonight. Last year, Jimmy Williams, you're looking at Phil Reagan, the pitching coach. He's on the horn to the bullpen. Last year, Jimmy Williams reluctant to break Pedro Martinez back for Game 4, to start Game 4. And if the Red Sox can win this game tonight in a weird sort of way, it could be a something. If Martinez can go again, Game 4, Game 5, it could be to their advantage. Not that any injury ever is to anybody's advantage, but it could be a very minor injury.
0-2 the count on Daubach, who is set up for his 3rd strikeout of the night. And this crowd wants to see the 8th of the night for Colon.
Not a thought of bunting here. Of course, it's 2 strikes right now, but even up to 2 strikes with Darren Lewis on deck and a power hitter in Daubach.
One away. 98 miles per hour from Colon.
We talked about how Bartolo Colon can maintain his velocity. You may remember the scouting report back in the 1st inning. He just blows Daubach away. 3rd time that Brian has struck out on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and that's it right there. maintains a velocity better than anyone in the league. And here he is in the 7th inning, throwing close to 100 pitches, still throwing 98.
And a strike to Lewis, who showed bunt 98 miles per hour on his 94th pitch of the night. Paul Shuey, a right-hander. Ricardo Rincon, a left-hander, getting ready for Cleveland in case. Ask Daubach if he thinks Cologne has lost anything.
Or Darren Lewis. He's knocked the bat out of Darren Lewis's hand twice tonight. Weak loopers to second base.
Go ahead run at first with 1 out here in the 7th inning. Game 1 of this division series. And the count 0-2 on Darren Lewis. Carlos Baerga back with the Indians. Big part of a team that went to the World Series in '95 only to lose to Atlanta. Not active for this series. The numbers for Cologne: 8 strikeouts, and he's 0-2 on Darren Lewis. Just a defensive swing and a dangerous foul ball into the seats over the Boston dugout.
Just missed Jimmy Williams. Jimmy in the corner of the dugout. That ball hewed over the Boston dugout, and it was dangerous.
Makes you think of Don Zimmer last night.
Yeah.
At Yankee Stadium.
This is that cue shot. Duck, Jimmy, and he did. Whew.
Still 0-2 on Lewis. Thankfully, our friend Don Zimmer is all right. He and the Yankees prepare for Game 2 of their series tomorrow night. Game 1 of this set. A 2-2 score in the 7th. And the 0-2. Trot Nixon, who has struck out twice tonight, waits on deck. One on, one out. 2-2.
A lot of times you don't need the radar gun. The hitters are your radar guns. How they react to a certain pitch. And this at bat, the at bat by Daubach, the at bat by Darren Lewis, shows that Cologne is still rushing it up there.
Now the 2-2 to Darren Lewis. Watch out over there again, and that may have caught somebody in the Red Sox dugout.
They hit the deck. Butch Husky say it's safe. Scatter, guys.
Dave Joust, the first base coach, hoping that didn't catch somebody, and it was Butch Husky, who I think was most endangered.
Donnie Sadler among the Red Sox diving for the floor.
The 2-2. Lewis pops it up. Alomar a long run. Can't get there. Bad knee at all. And it's still 2 balls, 2 strikes on Darren Lewis. Some weak swings by Lewis all night against Cologne. Watch Game 3 of the ALCS here on Fox for the $1 million Gillette Strike Zone Challenge. When some fan, with the pressure of some stadium watching, has the chance to win $1 million throwing it through a netting at home plate. For a while, earlier in his career, Bartolo Colon had a tough time harnessing that fastball, throwing strikes when he had to. Tonight, he looks like a #1 starter. The 2-2 pitch to Lewis. 2 out.
wicked fastball on the outside corner. Darren Lewis thought it was up a little bit, but you can see that was clearly a strike. Good call by Rocky Rowe.
9 strikeouts for Cologne. They have had rumored interest in Curt Schilling here with Cleveland. They had obvious interest in David Wells last year with the Yankees, and a big reason why they rolled to their 24th World Championship. He ended up in Toronto. Randy Johnson obviously talked about here as a free agent. Johnson ending up in Arizona. They have been searching for a #1 starter to try to finally either A, get to the World Series again, B, win the World Series for the first time since 1948. Cologne is starting to look like that #1 starter. Alomar, what a play! Inning over. Stunning. 7-time Gold Glove Award winner. As much range as any second baseman ever to play this game. Sliding stop to his right. Strong throw to end the inning. Time to stretch here at Jacobs Field.
Time and time again, Roberto Alomar. Yep, the latest victim who was robbed. Trot Nixon. The slide and the poise and the strength to get Nixon. But Alomar's done it before. Many times. Huh, Bobby?
One of the names mentioned when you talk about American League MVP. He's mentioned his teammate Manny Ramirez. Mentioned. Von Rodriguez, Pudge, the catcher with the Texas Rangers. Pedro Martinez, tonight's starter for the Boston Red Sox, on the list. Derek Jeter should be on the list. 1 ball, no strikes on Justice, who's 0 for 2. Facing low, he's up on the count, 2-0. Fryman and Alomar will follow. A strike from Lowe, 2-1. This battery, Derek Lowe and Jason Varitek, traded from the Seattle Mariners for Heathcliff Slocum. Pitch diving, a sinker, and Justice fouled it away, 2-2. Major trade pulled off by Dan Duquette when he got 2 young players. Well, Heathcliff Slocum, who started this year in Baltimore, ended up in St. Louis after being released. Pitched well down the stretch for the Cardinals. The 2-2 pitch, Justice checked his swing. The count full. An error and a blast last inning tied this game. Three-two. Do it again. David Justice coming to these Indians in March of 1997. A big trade pulled off with the Atlanta Braves. Marquise Grissom a part of that. Kenny Lofton went the other way to Atlanta. Back now with the Indians. Justice could not hold up, and he becomes the second strikeout victim for Derek Lowe.
We talked about Robbie Alomar and his artistry at second. Let's enjoy it. We told you he'd done it before.
And then you combine him with Omar Vizquel up the middle. 7 Gold Gloves for Alomar. And you combine that with a 6 won by Omar Vizquel at short. 13 between the two of them, and that helps out any pitching staff.
Joe, you brought up the thing I think that separates Alomar from the great second baseman of the past, and that's his range. Normally, it's not a position that you talk about and you mention range. Usually that's in center field or shortstop, never at second base until you see Alomar play it.
Ryman chopped that one off his foot. And now he's in the hole 0-2.
And the artistry with which he plays it.
The athletic ability and the awareness it must take to be able to make a play that we showed you in the highlight package. The first play he made when he went to his left, made a pickup, actually rolled over as he threw to first and got it to first base. Knew exactly where first base was. Is, well, it goes without saying, obviously something that you can't teach. This is innate, God-given ability. The 0-2 with one out, nobody on, and Fryman pops it up. Looks like it'll stay in play as Stanley gives it a look and can't make the play. He had a chance at it. Red Sox asking the right field umpire, that's Darrell Cousins, if the fans interfered. He says no, and Fryman will live to see another pitch.
I think Mike thought he was closer to the railing than he really was. Watch him reach out timidly. But the fan did not reach out onto the playing field. Actually, he was there at the railing. But once you're in with the fans, obviously they can do anything they want to. But when the fan reaches out onto the field, that's when it becomes obstruction.
Ball and 2 strikes on Fryman. It's no error given on the play. Well, it did hit that fan. Looked like it hit the fan with the blue Santa Claus hat in the right arm.
It looked like the fan was behind the railing, though. At least it appeared to me that he was within range and not reaching out. Of course, you can't reach out and obstruct a player trying to catch a ball.
And so now with 1 out, nobody on, a 1-ball, 2-strike count on Fryman. Two and 2. Sandy Alomar Jr. waits to hit next. A 2-2 game in the bottom of the 7th. The 2-2 pitch. Fryman way out in front, and that's strikeout number 3 for Derek Lowe. In just 2 days, virtual reality becomes reality when Chris Carter, creator of the X-Files, brings you the ultimate in mind games. Don't miss the series premiere of Harsh Realm Friday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, right here on Fox. D.B. Sweeney in that new series on Fox, Harsh Realm. Now with 2 out, nobody on, Sandy Alomar. Chops 1 to 3rd, foul, strike 1. Well, if you are just joining us, this is game 1 of the division series between the Red Sox and the Indians. We came in talking about 2 young Dominican right-handers, Bartolo Colon, the 24-year-old for Cleveland, Pedro Martinez, the 27-year-old right-hander for the Red Sox. Garciaparra has scored both Boston runs. Cleveland was handed an error by Valentin in the 6th inning, and then Jim Thome took advantage of it with a 2-run home run to tie it. 2 out, nobody on, and a strike hits the inside corner on Alomar. But by far the biggest news flash of this game is Pedro Martinez leaving after 4 innings, straining a muscle in the middle of his back on a cold night here in Cleveland. Derek Lowe has pitched very well since taking over, trying to strike out the side here in the 7th inning. 2 runs, but no earned runs. The error allowed Thome the opportunity, and credit Thome with taking advantage of it. Full count now on Sandy Alomar. Lofton in the top of the order waits next. Top of the order will bat for the Red Sox in the 8th. 3-2 to Alomar. He struck out the side. Derek Lowe coming in, taking over for Pedro Martinez. Now has pitched 3 full innings. And we go to the 8th. Top of the order for each side. Tied at 2. We welcome you back to the top of the 8th inning, a 2-2 game. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver with you as we show you our booth again. And we came in talking about Bartolo Colon, and he's lived up to his billing. Pedro Martinez had to leave us after 4 innings, and we might be going out of this game talking about Derek Lowe.
Yeah, we talked about Pedro Martinez and how he didn't like the cold weather, and certainly that could have been one of the reasons why he pulled a back muscle. We don't know how serious it is. He's listed day to day. He did pitch 4 innings, striking out 3, giving up no runs against the Indians, but it's been Derek Lowe since then. Cologne all the way for the Indians.
Top of the order will bat for it each side here in the 8th inning, and Offerman takes a strike. Jose is 0 for 1 with a pair of walks. Cologne starts in with 1 in the strike zone this time. One ball, 1 strike.
Check Travis Fryman at third base. He's not only guarding the line, but he's playing in for the bunt. Offerman could slap one by him. You mentioned Vizquel has an inclination to do that.
On 1-1, Offerman pops it up. Shallow center, tough play. Lofton trying to get there. It's Vizquel over the shoulder.
Even he shakes his head. He couldn't believe it himself.
That's amazing. Over the shoulder, looked like he had given up on it. And Vizquel, who used to catch routine pop-ups over his shoulder, goes out to take a hit away from Offerman.
How many times have you seen a shortstop wave off an outfielder with his back to the infield? He actually waved Lofton off the ball. To end the 7th inning, you saw the play by Alomar. To begin the 8th inning, his partner, Vizquel. Unbelievable.
Fastball poured in for a strike to John Valentin, who made a terrible error, as it turned out, on a low throw, a ground ball by Ramirez in the 6th inning with 2 out. It was followed by a game-tying 2-run home run from Jim Thome. And he bats with 1 out, nobody on. Like to get something started, he would, with Varitek and Garciaparra to follow. Strike 2, and we go back to the error.
2 out, nobody on. Routine ground ball by Manny Ramirez. Low throw to Stanley, and then on the next pitch to Jim Thome, a hanging curveball. Boom, tie ball game.
Cologne striving for strikeout number 10. 100 miles per hour here in the 8th. 10 strikeouts on the evening for Bartolo.
Does he maintain velocity through the late innings? Ask John Valentin. 100 miles an hour with a fastball. And here we are in the 8th inning.
Pedro Martinez telling us earlier that in 3 years he might wish he was Bartolo Colon, the way Bartolo Colon at this point in their lives wishes he was Pedro Martinez. 2 out, nobody on here in the 8th inning, a 2-2 game. Varitek. Football 2-2-0.
Varitek's got one thing on his mind right now. Choose an inside fastball and try to jack it out of here. 2 out, nobody on.
The 20 home runs he hit this season, the most since Rich Gedman hit 24 back in 1984. Switch hitting catcher. Oh for 3 as he looks out at Cologne and takes a strike.
That's why Alomar's set outside. When you're behind in the count like that to a power hitter in a home run situation, you want to sit outside for the strike, not inside.
Coming up tonight on ESPN, the Mets and Diamondbacks, game 2. strike 2 on Veritek. Tomorrow at 4 on ESPN. Game 2 of this series at 8. The Rangers and Yankees on Fox. That's tomorrow. Here and now, it's Cologne. Looking for strikeout number 11. And Veritek fouls a 100-mile-per-hour fastball back and out of play. Offerman popped up. Valentin struck out. Veritek back into the box with a 2-2 count. Still 2-2, bottom of the 8th.
The 1999 Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of Major League Baseball. This Bud's for you. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. By Centrum, as nutritional science advances, so does Centrum, always complete from A to Zinc. And by Hyundai, every Hyundai's backed by America's best warranty with 10 years powertrain coverage.
Folks, welcome back. Whenever the Goodyear blimp is hovering above a game with its camera focused on an event, you know you're going to get a unique view. Overhead today is the Goodyear blimp, Spirit of Akron, based in Suffield, Ohio. Very near to Akron, which is the world headquarters for the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. We thank them for joining us here tonight. Take a look at our game summary. A game dominated by pitching. First Martinez, now low for Boston throughout. It's been Bartolo Colon. Garcia Parra scored both runs for the Red Sox. Colon has struck out 11. Thome, after the error by Valentin, tied this game with 2 out in the 6th inning with a home run. Low back for his 4th inning of work and deals with Lofton, ball 1. Vizquel and Roberto Alomar will follow Lofton. To the second baseman, Offerman gets a nice easy hop, 1 away. Vizquel walks in. We talked to him about the position of shortstop and what it means to play it in the big leagues.
Every time that you see the best player on your team, you always take a look at shortstop. I think shortstop is the person that really can take over and do things to inspire, your team. You can do something out of the ordinary. They always recognize because they're shortstop, they can hit home runs, and they probably the best looking guys on the team.
1 out, nobody on, and after a strike, Vizquel hits it. What a play by Valentin. Terrific play as he was guarding against the bunt, pulled way in, and he took a sure double away from Vizquel and gets a pat on the back from Derek Lowe.
We talked about it the last time Vizquel was up. He is so proficient at pulling that third baseman in, look for the bunt, and then slapping it by him, but not this time. Fine play by John Valentin to get Vizquel.
The only reason why I mentioned Derek Lowe patted him on the back is because it was the error which put Lowe in the situation to face Thome, and it was Thome who hit the home run for 2 unearned runs, but 2 nonetheless to tie it back in the 6th inning. Ball 1 to Roberto Alomar, who was 2 out of 3 with a pair of singles, a steal. He's also grounded out. Facing Lowe for the 2nd time tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Joe, even with the home run by Jim Thome, who is in the hold right now, the Indians only 2 for 42 against Derek Lowe this year.
Alomar pops it up. Third base side for Valentin. Foul territory. Wind really grabs it, but Valentin stays with it. And now the Cleveland Indians go in order in the 8th. We go to the 9th inning. Heart of the order for each side. That includes Nomar for the Red Sox. 9th inning of game 1, tied at 2. Well, as we went to commercial, we showed you Colon coming out ready to pitch, but this is what happened while we were away. Cologne was out there ready to work, and he's taken out of the game by Mike Hargrove, and they make a pitching change. The Indians do here going into the 9th inning.
Paul Shuey will be the new pitcher. Bartolo Colon had thrown 117 pitches, and I think with Garciaparra coming up, that changed Mike Hargrove's mind as much as anything, to give Garciaparra a different look in this tie ball game in the 9th inning, since Garciaparra was locked in on Colon.
Colon finally just capitulated and said, here, have a walk, his last time up after Garciaparra had homered and doubled. And that is a different look as he's way out in front, something off speed from Shuey. Shuey had a good year, was on the disabled list for one stretch, 103 strikeouts in 81 2/3 innings pitched. Good right-handed setup man for Mike Jackson as Garciaparra held off on the swing, and it's a 1-1 count. The crowd does not like that call by Larry Young.
It was close.
It's a swing to me.
Looked like he went too far. I agree.
The 1-1. 2 balls and a strike from Shuey. Well, what more are you going to get from anyone out of the bullpen than you were getting from Cologne? 8 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits, 11 strikeouts. We take you back to the 2nd inning, leading off with no score, Nomar Garciaparra. That against Bartolo Colon, just over the wall in deep right center field. The Red Sox with that were up 1-0.
I don't think he'll get a fastball here.
The 2-2.
But he did.
And he's gone. 1 away in the 9th inning.
High fastball right in his wheelhouse. Sometimes it's not the pitch, but how you got there. 3 breaking balls before this good fastball for Paul Shuey.
And now Troy O'Leary, 1 out, nobody on, and a breaking ball in for a strike. O'Leary tonight is grounded out, struck out, and flying to the wall, which started a 7-4-3 double play. Garciaparra was doubled off in the 6th inning. Strike 2. Game has seen a total of 19 strikeouts to this point. 12 for the Indians. And O'Leary off the end of the bat into shallow center. Lofton an easy play. 2 gone. The Baseball Division Series playoffs continue tomorrow night when Derek Jeter and the world champion Yankees host the ALS champs, the Texas Rangers. Game 2 of the Division Series tomorrow, live in prime time at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on Fox. Tom Brenneman and Bob Brentley will bring you that action from Yankee Stadium. 2 out, nobody on, and Stanley, who's 3 for 3, takes a ball in at the knees for a strike. Delayed call, and Stanley is aware now that it's 0-1 instead of 1-0.
Interesting game at Yankee Stadium tomorrow night. Rick Helling will go for the Rangers against Andy Pettitte.
Bernie Williams with 6 RBIs in game 1. Stanley pops it up. Shallow left. Justice probably saying to Vizquel, you sure you don't want it? We go to the bottom of the 9th inning, game 1. Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, Harold Baines for the Indians. We're tied at 2. This place ready to shake. Game 1 of the Division Series between the Indians and the Red Sox. And who should lead it off? Bottom of the 9th inning against Derek Lowe, with the top RBI man in the history of the Cleveland Indians franchise, Manny Ramirez. Ball 1 from Lowe. Whatever works. The Indians have dropped 8 consecutive opening games in postseason series.
And Joe, speaking of consecutive, the Indians have 3 consecutive left-handed batters after Ramirez. This may be the last guy Lowe faces tonight.
The crowd chanting Manny. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count from Lowe. If that is the case, it doesn't matter what happens here in the 9th inning. Lowe has done a tremendous job coming in to pick up for Pedro Martinez. 2-2 in the bottom of the 9th inning, game 1. You look at the list, and it is a pitcher's nightmare. Manny Ramirez, Roberto Alomar, Richie Sexson, Jim Thome, Harold Baines. 3 of those 5 are due up here in the 9th inning.
Maybe 4 of those 5 with Richie Sexson pinch hitting for Harold Baines if you're looking ahead.
Manny Ramirez would like to end it with 1 swing. Then he grounds it foul, 2-2. We came in talking about this being a must-win type situation for the Red Sox. Real Cormier, one that Tim put a line through out in the bullpen, getting ready for the lefties coming up. Rich Garces, the right-hander, out there in case changes are made on the Indian side. The 2-2. Ramirez hit. And the leadoff man is on for the Indians here in the 9th inning. And that should be all for Derek Lowe. It is. Real Cormier will come in out of the bullpen. Thome will be at the plate for the Indians. We're tied at 2 in the 9th. Welcome back to Jacobs Field here in Cleveland. The Indians dugout having fun. They just saw Manny Ramirez hit by a pitch. The winning run is on for the Indians here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Real Cormier, a left-hander who had a strong year out of the bullpen, the only left-hander that Jimmy Williams can call on, is out of the pen and into the game for the Red Sox.
And the question now is, does Jim Thome try to sacrifice? He has sacrificed 1 time during the regular season in his career. That was 1994. He did, however, or he was called upon to sacrifice in the 1997 Division Series against the New York Yankees. So what does Mike Hargrove do with Jim Thome right here facing the left-hander, Real Cormier?
Thome, whose swing back in the 6th inning is the reason this game is tied. A 2-run shot after an error which allowed Ramirez to reach. Thome tied it with a home run, and if Thome is up there to sacrifice, as you bring up, the Red Sox certainly are not expecting it. Valentin deep at 3rd. Cormier fresh into the game. No signs of a bunt. He takes a strike. If anyone in this game ought to be used to cold weather, it's Cormier, who grew up in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada.
This is a heat wave as far as he's concerned.
Get in shape in the offseason by chopping wood.
He's chopped off the sleeves of his sweatshirt right now.
The 0-1 pitch. Thome takes strike 2. And now you can totally forget any thoughts of a bunt as you look at Thome against lefties. 6 of his 33 home runs. A .239 average against southpaws this season. The 0-2 from Cormier. Little fly ball into left field. Easy for O'Leary if he can get there. He broke back and recovers 1 away. Those of you expecting your local news, we will bring you that after this ball game. For those of you wanting more coverage of this game following the action, Will Cordero will come off the bench to hit. You can turn to your Fox Sports Net regional stations, and You will get more about this game from Jacobs Field. Cordero off the bench. The bat for Baines. Will Cordero, who hit .229 during the regular season, broke his left wrist on June 8th. Participated in only 54 games this season with the Indians. Check on the runner Ramirez over at first.
I think the reason that Mike Hargrove is going with Cordero instead of Sexson here is that if Cordero gets on, you can pinch hit Sexson for Dave Justice and then move Richie into left field in case the game goes extra innings. If you put him in the DH slot, you couldn't do that. Mike Hargrove thinking as much about defense as offense right here.
Another check on Ramirez. In case you're wondering, Ramirez was 2 out of 6 in the stolen base department during the regular season. He carries the winning run in his pocket as Richie Sexson watches with his 116 RBIs over on the Indians dugout bench. Will Cordero at the plate. 1 on, 1 out. Tie game, 9th inning. And a strike from Cormier. Started to say last half inning that we came in talking about this being almost a must-win situation for the Red Sox tonight, with Pedro Martinez on the mound going in game 1. They have been picked up and carried by Derek Lowe, who went 4+ innings, allowing no earned runs, 2 runs and only 1 hit. Now it's Cormier's turn, and he's 1-1 on Cordero. Valentin's made an error. He's also made a terrific play to Rob Vizquel last inning. One ball, 1 strike on Cordero. And an awful lot of attention paid to Manny Ramirez over at first. He's got a short lead. At this point, does not seem inclined to run.
Some of those throws to first base called by manager Jimmy Williams.
The 1-1 to Cordero. 2-1. Why do we call this a must-win type situation for the Red Sox? Well, in game 2, they have Brett Saberhagen, who has had trouble with his pitching shoulder. 10-game winner. He takes on 17-game winner Charles Nagy tomorrow. And in game 3, Ramon Martinez, who was all of 2-1, coming back from shoulder surgery last year. He pitches game 3. And then Kent Mercker will work in game 4 if necessary. There's tomorrow's starters, Saberhagen and Nagy. And again, Mercker, who was traded away by St. Louis to the Red Sox late in the year, is scheduled to go in game 4. Right now it's 3-1 on Cordero. 1 on, 1 out. Tie game, 9th inning. The opposite way, base hit. Ramirez will hold at second. It's 2 on, 1 out. Cordero off the bench to deliver a pinch hit single to right.
Big hole on the right side, and Cordero takes advantage of it. Fine play by Trot Nixon, charging hard to hold Ramirez to second base.
And now with 2 on and 1 out, Richie Sexson will indeed come off the bench to bat for Justice. And with that, we expect another pitching change. 2 on with 1 out. Jimmy Williams stops to the mound. He will pull Cormier here in the 9th inning. That will be it for Real Cormier. 2 on with 1 out. Richie Sexson will be at the plate. When we come back, a tie game, 2-2 in the 9th inning. 20 victories in their last at bat during the regular season for the Indians, trying for one here in Game 1 of the division series tonight. Rich Garces with terrific numbers comes out of the bullpen for the Red Sox. A record of 5-1, an ERA of about a 1.5, 30 games during the regular season. 2 on, 1 out, tie game, and Richie Sexson takes ball 1. 6'7", 225 pounds. His first full season in the major leagues, and he knocked home 116 runs. Garces falls behind 2-0. The Red Sox led until the 6th. A home run by Thome tied it. And here in the bottom of the 9th inning, a base hit could end it. Travis Fryman waits on deck. Ball 4, they're loaded.
Now the outfield will move in, and the infield will play in double play depth. A sacrifice fly, the game's over. So the outfielders move in, and I would suspect with Fryman's knee, the infield would be in double play depth. One of those rare situations where the infield stays back, but the outfield moves in.
Bases loaded, 1 away. Travis Fryman with a chance to win Game 1 of the division series. He did not drive in a run during the postseason last year for the Indians. Strike 1 on a check swing.
Trot Nixon, the right fielder, is playing deep second. Look how shallow Nixon is in right field.
Garces came out of the bullpen and walked Sexson on 4 pitches. The winning run 90 feet away. 1 ball, 1 strike on Fryman. Travis Fryman, who tore ligaments in his right knee back in June and spent 80 days on the disabled list, worked his way back into shape. Is the starting third baseman for the Indians, and he could end Game 1. He went strike 2. Another player who missed a lot of time this season with an injured knee. Sandy Alomar waits on deck. Bases loaded, 1 out. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Fryman. Into left field, base hit. In comes Ramirez, and the Indians win Game 1. Another come-from-behind victory for these Indians.
The Red Sox not only lose the game, but Pedro Martinez in the process.
Starting with game number 6 of the 1986 World Series, which has since been known as the Buckner game, the Red Sox are 1-17 in the postseason. The 1 win, Game 1 of the division series last year against the Indians with Pedro Martinez on the mound. Here's the game-winning hit for Travis Fryman.
A 1-ball, 2-strike, high inside fastball rifled the left field to win it.
What a time for Travis Fryman to knock home his first run in the postseason. He did knock home a run in 10 games in the postseason last year. He got a high delivery, and he ends it a 3-2 victory for the Cleveland Indians. And that streak of losing the opener in their last 8 consecutive postseason series is broken. General Manager John Hart watching. They stayed with Travis Fryman. Mike Hargrove telling us before the game, 80% of Travis Fryman is better than anyone else we have. And tonight, Travis Fryman and the Cleveland Indians better the Boston Red Sox 3-2 in Game 1. Our producer, Michael Weissman, director, Bill Webb, associate director, Aaron Stoikov, our broadcast associate, Derek Manning. As always, the editorial consultant here in the booth, Steve Horn. We came in talking about Pedro Martinez and Bartolo Colon. Garcia Parra, a big night tonight for the Red Sox. It wasn't enough. In the end, it was Colon better than Martinez, who had to leave after 4 with a strain in his back. And with one swing, Tommy tied it back in the 6th inning. We saw a little bit of everything tonight, and it was Travis Fryman who won it. For Tim McCarver, I'm Joe Buck. Now we send you back to Keith Olbermann and Steve Lyons back in Los Angeles after this 3-2 Indian victory in Game 1. Good night.